to take about the chemical properties of metals and non-metals, the comparison order, and very importantly, in this COVID time, a lot of syllabus, a lot of part of sections of this particular chapter has been deleted. So we are taking this chapter in sections, and now we are going to take chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Chapter basically what we are going to deal with is the reactions with oxygen, water, acid, and the salt solutions of metals. So in comparison, our all slides will be moving around the reactions around these four corners. So our focus will be totally on the reaction of metals with oxygen, reaction of non-metals with the oxygen, and so on. So our focus area will be reactions which will be including oxygen, water, acid and salt solution of metal. Proceed, let me revise your the concept of your metals in context with electrons. We must understand that the basic nature of metal include the losing of electrons. They lose 1, 2 or 3 electrons as per their need and as per the valence electrons concept, and thus forming the cation, the positive ions they are forming. On the other hand, non-metals, they are showing the opposite nature, which is they are going to basically accept the electrons. So they usually forms the anions, right? So this is the one basic difference because cation anion story is important as far as the whole chemistry is concerned. The very first reaction that we are going to discuss is the reaction of metals first of all with the oxygen. I usually tell my students to go with momos because they love it. Yes, metal plus oxygen will give us metal oxide. And in this particular slide, as you can see, we are talking about the magnesium. Though this reaction which I have written here is not a balanced one, but basically what we want to show you that what kind of compound it is forming. When magnesium or any other metal that is reacting with oxygen, it is going to form its oxide, that is magnesium oxide. If it is magnesium, it is going to form magnesium oxide. A red color strip, you are going to see it here, and that is clearly indicating that the nature of magnesium oxide, the oxide that is formed by a metal, is always basic in nature. So showing the properties of a base. And how will I get it? I will get it by checking with the help of an indicators, and the most common one being the litmus paper. So if I am using a red litmus paper, it will turn into blue, thus proving that the metallic oxides are basic in nature. So this very important concept you are going to learn. See, it's so simple. 3 lines, 3 steps: metal oxygen, metal plus oxygen, metal oxide, and the metal oxide is basic in nature and it turns red litmus blue. In the series of understanding the reaction of all the metals with oxygen, though it is not possible to cover each and every metal, but we will be focusing what is given in NCERT. And one of the very important reaction that again is mentioned there is the reaction of the most reactive metal, that is sodium with oxygen. And again, what is going to be formed? Sodium oxide. What will be the nature? It will be again basic in nature, because when we are going to dissolve the sodium oxide in water, it is going to form sodium hydroxide. And thereby we can test on with the blue litmus or red litmus. The red litmus will turn into blue. So sodium and potassium in this slide, you can easily see we are going to talk about that they are very reactive. Very important thing you should know was that what are amphoteric oxides, right? Learn in this slide the example of amphoteric oxide, aluminium oxide. It is a very greater concept of amphoteric oxide, but in simple language we can understand. Metallic oxides, that is what we have studied in the previous fifth and sixth slide. The metallic oxides, which will show the basic as well as the acidic nature. So they are being called as amphoteric oxide. One very common example that we are taking is aluminium oxide, Al2O3. Al2O3 amphoteric oxide is amphoteric oxide. Al2O3 is amphoteric oxide. Though there are many other examples also, but one common one you should know, that is zinc oxide and aluminium oxide. Amphoteric oxide. We are talking about the reaction of metal with oxygen. You might be thinking that why I'm taking so many examples, because this is one of the very important reactions we must go through. The aluminium, as you can see, it is losing 3 electrons, right? The very important story behind this aluminum oxide is that once it is oxidized, that oxidized layer starts working and starts preventing the further oxidation of the aluminum. So you may say that once it has started corroding, it stops because of this protective layer. So जो पहले इसको नुकसान कर रहा था वो इसका आशीर्वाद बन जाता है. Al2O3 is the aluminum oxide. When this coating has been formed, then it stops the further corrosion of aluminium. And you know why corrosion happens, because it needs the presence of two things: the humidity and the water and the air, right? But in the case of iron, it is not like that. Iron, if it is oxidized, then it is going to form rust, and rust will definitely weaken your iron. So rust makes the things porous, the iron becomes porous, and no longer it will be known for its strength. So basic thing idea here, why I have taken out aluminium especially here, because the thing that is normal in other metals, it becomes a boon to this aluminium. Very important thing that you should know is the reactivity series. All the metals, they are arranged on the basis of their reactivity series, and that is why their reactivities with different in different circumstances will be different. In different conditions it will be different. If a metal is more reactive, then it is going to be placed on the upper side of the reactivity series, and we have shown you the reactivity series of lithium, sodium, potassium. They are quite higher than as compared to silver, mercury, gold. So this reactivity series is very important. You should know, because metals react on the basis of the reactivity series. And potassium and sodium, dear student, it is the reactions are so vigorous, so violent, releasing a lot of heat and energy, and these are basically metals to be watched out when you are in the laboratories, because just a small piece of it can create a huge energy over there. So technically, when we are into the labs, we definitely take good care of the sodium and potassium. And what about the calcium, magnesium? Yes, definitely they become more subtle. The reactivity is not that hard, like violent, like potassium and sodium. So as you move down the reactivity series, then the strength of the reaction also slows down. You can see in the slide, we have taken the right side of the slide, that it reacts with oxygen, reacts with dilute acid, and how it is decreasing down, right? The arrow down shows how it is decreasing, up means how it is increased with that strength of the reaction. Go with the reaction of non-metals with oxygen, because like what we have done, non-metallic oxide, they are formed. Namo namo, it is like non-metallic oxide. Given one example, sulfur and oxygen, as you can see here. And I have always asked my student to go into more deeper look into this picture that has been shown here, where a blue litmus is turning red. This will indicate that what is the nature of this oxide that has been formed. Like somebody has burned this sulfur in deflagellating spoon and kept it into that bottle, the glass jar, and whatever thing has been burnt, after burning, whatever gas has been produced, it has been taken out. And when it was checked with the litmus paper, it was found the blue litmus turned red. This clearly indicates the nature of the oxide. The nature of oxide is acidic, right? When we will dissolve it, we will find it this way. One more reaction we have taken is carbon and oxygen, because this carbon dioxide gas, when it gets dissolved in water, then it forms the carbonic acid, which we have seen in the aerated drinks. The tanginess, the flavor of the cold drinks is all because of this carbonic acid. Once the gas is released out, you say the gas is not there. That carbonic acid nature is not there, because carbon dioxide is no more inside the bottle and the reaction with water is not there. So because of this, you should know that non-metals, we are talking about here is the sulfur and the carbon, they are going to form non-metallic oxide. It is just a comparison of the chemical properties of metal and non-metal with the next topic that we have taken, water. Now, how they react with water, metals, they react with water at different rate. And who is going to decide that rate? The reactivity series, their position in the reactivity series. So some metals which are down below, they are going to show the slow reactivity, and one who are around potassium and sodium, they are going to be vigorous with water. This is what I have in a previous slide we have talked about. The non-metals do not react with water, though they may be very reactive in air, but non-metals are non-reactive. They are stored in water, and they non-metals are generally non-reactive with water. Have again taken the comparison order because this whole presentation is we are talking on the comparison of metals and non-metals because it makes our understanding more easier and better. So what we can see, we can compile this information that reaction of metal with water, we have taken the example of sodium and potassium. It is vigorous, releasing a lot of heat. And in the case of non-metals, the reaction is usually not there. It is not vigorous. It is not at all there because I have written the reason also. Phosphorus is an exception. See, in science, whenever we are talking about the things, exceptions are always there. So you must take care of those exceptions also. The phosphorus is here, and non-metals basically they are electronegative in nature. So they are taking up electrons, right? So they are unable to break the bond between the hydrogen and oxygen. And that is one of the biggest reason that non-metals do not react with water. So it is very simple, the comparison in front of you. And now going ahead in one step ahead with the reaction of metals and non-metals with acids, like hydrochloric acid. You have studied in your acid-base salt chapter also. When metals, so it is just a revision. When metals are reacting with acid, any of the acid, it can be hydrochloric, it can be nitric acid, it can be H2SO4 sulfuric acid. It is going to form a salt, and along with it, the very important thing, the hydrogen gas is released. I have written one example, magnesium with hydrochloric acid, the magnesium chloride is formed. The magnesium will take the negative part of that hydrochloric acid, and H plus is released as an hydrogen gas. And how you're going to check it? You remember your reaction, pop sound, burning splinter? Yes, that is the way we are going to check the release of this gas. And the salt is in front of us. Reaction of non-metals. Yes, non-metals again do not react with acid. So it again makes our work more simpler. But I will suggest again that please, though I have written all the exceptions there, but do consult other books also, what they have written. So exceptions are always there in science, keep it in mind. And in the previous case, we have known that phosphorus is there, and here also you can see the sulfur, which is showing the exception. But usually, most of the time, non-metals do not react with acids. See, this is very important and very simple also. I will again take you back to the reactivity series. The one which is up above, like we all used to say in the jingle bells, up above the world so high. Yes, in the reactivity series, if the element is up above, then it is going to displace the least reactive element which is there in that reactivity series. So magnesium is more powerful in reactivity series. You can see the order and check. Magnesium comes first, copper comes next. So magnesium being more powerful, it is going to displace the sulfate ions from its copper sulfate solution and going to form the magnesium sulfate. So whatever reaction, this is the fourth section, metals ka reaction with metal salt solution. So how it is going to proceed? You can check on all the reactions, do it by yourself. One example I have explained, you go through all the reactions by yourself and you can easily see, yes, zinc was much up above, much higher at the reactivity series, and so easily can displace the copper from its sulfate solution, forming a new salt, that is zinc sulfate, and copper is left out. So whenever such reactions are happening, you will definitely find a color change in your reaction, which you can easily see in this particular picture, which has been shown that we are trying this experiment with the iron nail and the copper sulfate, and see how it has become greenish in nature, forming copper. The copper is left out in the test tube down at the bottom or around that iron nail, and changing the color. So please revise this section with the reactivity series in front of you or you may better go ahead with the learning of the reactivity series, because it's very important whenever the reactions of metals are happening. If your understanding with the metal reactivity series was not there, then you are in trouble. So make sure that you know the series, you are well through with that series, and you are then comfortably going to fetch out the problem that this metal is up above the reactivity series, so it is definitely going to change the metal which is down below the reactivity series. So it is just simple like this. Laboratory look, because see, we are talking about, and we are into the world of chemistry. Chemistry is just a waste of time if you are not spending time in your laboratories or doing some experiments at home. Some simple things can be done by yourself. Yeah, you cannot go ahead with the reactions of potassium and sodium, but see what happens. This is what this particular slide is showing to you. Go refer to page 43 of your NCRT. Go through the experiments that have been written there. Just a glimpse of what is there. The reaction with steam. The metal is kept in the test tube, and what reaction it is going to happen after it has been reacted with the steam. So, and the pop sound, you can easily identify the first experiment. Aquaregia. This is the royal water. Why it is called royal? You can just check out the Google. A lot of YouTube slides are there where people are experimenting with aquaregia and the gold and dissolving that gold completely. But this particular section has been referred in NCRT, and you have to go through that yellow boxes because they are important. Aquaregia is 3-part nitric acid, 1-part hydrochloric acid. So this is the concentration. If you are just going with the picturization of the thing, so it is going to have prepared like this. Aquaregia, all acid, right? But what is the concentration of the acid is important, and which two acids have been taken, this is important. So my dear students, take care of this freshly prepared aquaregia. It is going to remove all the metal salt deposits. So all the glasswares, they are cleaned with this particular process, and most of the people, they are experimenting aquaregia with with the gold, dissolving gold coin. It gets dissolved over there. So uh, rest you can Google out. Anodizing, I just took out this particular topic in a previous slide, but giving it a name in this slide is important. Anodizing, it is also taken from the NCRT yellow box section. It is a property where aluminum is going to form a thick oxide layer, and this oxide layer of Al2O3 is going to resist the corrosion of further aluminum. So it is a protective layer. But firstly, when it started off the reaction, when the reaction just started with aluminum and oxygen, so oxidation was happening, the corrosion was happening. But once the one layer of corrosion, that Al2O3 is formed, then it stops the further corrosion. So it is uh, it goes in favor of aluminum. This oxidized layer goes in favor of aluminum. But in the case of iron, I have talked it in my previous slide, that for iron, it is not the boon, right? Then there is a problem because we are losing iron there. Why I'm talking about this anodizing technique? It is done with cathode and anode, and in anode position where anions are going to come, the positive electrode, the things are happening, right? You can go ahead with that, what articles are to be anodized. But where are we going to using this anodized material, aluminium? We are using it everywhere, all the industries, all the cooking kitchenware, from Futura to whatever the companies are there in the market. This high hard anodized aluminum tawa, anodized tawas are also there, where your mama is going to cook chapatis. So a lot of instruments, your cycle parts, your bicycle, your motorcycles, are good heavy motorcycles are also using the anodized parts. So you just name it and you are going to find this anodized aluminium over there. Just a small picturization, and rest you can Google out, right? Getting this light, particularly this light to aluminium. Reason I too don't know, but I find that I have found that this particular aluminium is taken at a length in NCRT, and let us revise it because it will help us to revise all our concepts regarding aluminium, our metal. Aluminium is a metal going to lose 3 electrons. The very first reaction is aluminium reacting with water. So it is going to form aluminium oxide, that is Al2O3. Along with it, hydrogen gas is liberated. But when aluminium is reacting with oxygen, then Al2O3 is formed. When this aluminum oxide is reacting with acid, then aluminium salt, that is AlCl3 is formed and water is released. When you are going to react this, see the aluminium oxide, the oxide of aluminium, it is reacting with base also. See the third reaction, it is reacting with acid, it is able to react, it is able to form a compound. And in the fourth case also, it is able to form the compound sodium aluminate, it is forming. In both the cases, when it is reacting with acid and base, the oxide layer, it is called the amphoteric oxide. So this was the main reason to discuss this, especially aluminium, why we have been discussing it here. You can choose your own metal also in the complete chapter series and make a further slides like this. So it will enhance your understanding and learning. Thank you, class.